It often begins with something so small, you almost overlook it. A pause before she answers your message. A playful but strangely unsettling question. Why do you even like me? A sudden shift in tone when only moments before, everything felt perfect. To many men, these moments are puzzling, almost like pieces of a riddle that don't seem to fit together. He asks himself, what just happened? Did I say the wrong thing? Did she lose interest? And yet deep down, she may not even know why she did it herself. This is where relationships often stand on fragile ground. A man, unsure of what just took place, begins to question her intentions. A woman, driven by emotions she cannot fully explain, pushes and pulls in ways that leave him uncertain. To the outside observer, these moments look like miscommunication, a clash of personalities, or even immaturity. But beneath the surface, something far more fascinating is at work. Across the world, in countless relationships, men experience the same hidden phenomenon. She pulls away, right when things seem secure. She challenges him with small remarks that carry weight far beyond the words themselves. She raises questions that don't sound like questions at all, but subtle challenges. Would you still care for me if I wasn't who you think I am? To the untrained eye, these look like random behaviors, like mixed signals. But in truth, they are unconscious emotional tests, subtle, instinctive patterns that women themselves are often unaware they are carrying out. Why does this happen? Why would someone who desires closeness create distance? Why would someone searching for safety create challenges? The answers lie deep within psychology, where ancient instincts, emotional needs, and modern relationships collide. What many call testing is not a game, not manipulation, but something far older. A way of seeking reassurance, of measuring trust, of protecting the heart from disappointment. For men, the experience is often frustrating, even painful. But for women, these unconscious tests are rarely about deception. They are about security, about finding stability in a world that doesn't always provide it. And here lies the paradox. Women test men emotionally without realizing it. Yet those very tests can decide the strength of a relationship, whether it survives or whether it quietly falls apart. Tonight, we begin an exploration of this hidden psychology. We will uncover the reasons behind it, the stories that reveal it, and the science that explains it. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand why women test men emotionally, but also what it reveals about trust, connection, and the very nature of love itself. Picture this. A man is sitting at his desk late at night, staring at the glow of his phone. Just an hour ago, the conversation was alive, playful, warm, reassuring. Then suddenly, silence. He sends another message, light-hearted, careful not to sound needy. Minutes pass. An hour. 2 hours. Still nothing. He checks the phone again and again. And when her reply finally arrives, it's short, almost distant, just a single word. To him, it feels like rejection in disguise. To her, it may have felt natural, a moment of space, a need to withdraw, or perhaps a test she herself isn't even aware of. Now imagine another moment. They're walking together, hand in hand. Everything feels safe, effortless. He makes her laugh. She leans into him. And then, without warning, she asks, "Why do you even like me?" He stumbles, caught off guard. How does he answer? Does he list reasons? Does he laugh it off? To her, the question seems innocent, maybe even playful. To him, it feels loaded, like the ground has shifted beneath his feet. What he doesn't know is that this question carries weight, a search for reassurance, a hidden probe into whether his affection is genuine. Or consider the couple at dinner. The food arrives, the conversation flows, and then she brings up an old argument, small, trivial, something long forgotten. She watches his reaction. Will he lose patience? Will he defend himself? Or will he stay calm, steady, unshaken? To him, it feels unnecessary, frustrating. To her, it's instinct, a way of testing stability, of measuring whether he is dependable in moments of tension. She may not think of it as a test, yet it functions as one all the same. If you are a man watching this, perhaps these stories feel familiar. You felt the silence after the unanswered text. You've faced the unexpected question that left you scrambling for the right words. You've stood in the middle of a small conflict, wondering if it was even real, or if it was created just to see how you would react. These experiences can leave you confused, second-guessing yourself, sometimes even questioning whether she truly cares at all. And if you are a woman, perhaps you recognize yourself in these moments. Perhaps you remember the times you pulled away, not out of malice but out of fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being let down, fear of trusting too soon. Maybe you recall asking questions you didn't fully understand yourself, creating distance just to see if he would close the gap. For many women, these behaviors aren't conscious decisions. They happen quietly, naturally, without planning, driven by emotions and instincts that have been shaped over years, even generations. What's remarkable is how universal these patterns are. They appear in new relationships, where uncertainty is high and trust is fragile. They appear in long-term relationships, where routine sets in and reassurance is still needed. They appear across cultures, across ages, across backgrounds. They surface in small gestures, in words left unsaid, in questions that linger long after the moment has passed. And though subtle, their impact can be profound. For some couples, they are harmless, moments that pass like clouds. For others, they become storms that erode trust, creating cracks that only grow wider over time. And yet, behind every silence, every question, every moment of distance, lies something deeper. These are not random acts. They are not games. They are signals. Signals of a need for safety, for reassurance, for proof that affection is real and consistent. Women often test men emotionally without ever realizing it. Men experience these moments as confusion, frustration, sometimes even betrayal. But beneath it all is a psychological truth, one that ties us back to something ancient, something deeply human. So the question lingers, why does this happen? Why would someone who longs for closeness create distance? Why would a woman searching for love create doubt in the very man she desires? To understand this, we must step beyond the surface. We must look at the science of attachment, the psychology of trust, and the timeless instincts that shape human connection. And we must listen closely to the stories, to the silence, and to the unspoken language of the heart. Meet Sarah and Daniel. On the surface, their relationship looks effortless. They laugh together. They share inside jokes. They talk late into the night about their dreams and fears. To friends, they seem like the perfect couple, comfortable, connected, even inseparable. But beneath the warmth and affection, a subtle pattern has begun to emerge. It starts small. One evening, Daniel tells Sarah how much he appreciates her, a simple, genuine moment of affection. She smiles, but then tilts her head and asks, "Do you really mean that? Why do you even like me?" Daniel chuckles nervously, unsure how to respond. He lists a few reasons: her kindness, her intelligence, the way she makes him feel. She listens, nods, and lets the moment pass. But inside, Daniel feels unsettled. Why would she ask a question like that? Doesn't she already know? Another time, Sarah delays replying to Daniel's messages. Hours go by before she answers. When she finally does, the reply is brief, colder than usual. Daniel feels anxious. Did he do something wrong? Has her interest faded? He sends another message, trying to bridge the gap, trying to win back the warmth. What Daniel doesn't see is that Sarah isn't pulling away out of disinterest. She is, unconsciously, creating space to see if he will step forward. To her, this is not a calculated move, not a strategy. It is instinct, a quiet way of asking, "Will you still be here if I push you away?" Sarah's questions, her silences, her sudden mood changes, they are not deliberate attempts to hurt Daniel. They are echoes of her past. In her last relationship, promises were broken. Affection was fleeting. Words didn't always match actions. And though she tells herself this time is different, her mind has built defenses. Her brain's emotional safety system has been trained to seek proof, to test consistency, to demand reassurance. Not because she wants to play games, but because she longs for stability, for trust she can lean on without fear. Daniel, however, experiences it differently. To him, these moments feel like obstacles, challenges placed in his path for no reason. He wonders if Sarah doubts him, if she doesn't trust his intentions. Sometimes he grows frustrated. Sometimes he feels exhausted. And yet, when he steps back, he notices something. After every moment of doubt, every test, every small conflict, Sarah seems calmer once he passes through it. Almost as if each reassurance resets her trust, strengthening the bond between them, at least for a while. What neither Sarah nor Daniel fully realizes is that this cycle is not unique to them. It plays out in countless relationships, repeated silently across couples everywhere. For Sarah, it is not conscious. She does not wake up in the morning deciding to test Daniel's patience or loyalty. Instead, her behaviors emerge from deep within, from a place shaped by experience, by instinct, by psychology. And Daniel, caught in the middle, struggles to understand whether he is facing love, doubt, or something he cannot yet name. Their story is more than just a portrait of two people. It is a mirror, reflecting the quiet battles many couples face, the unspoken fears that guide behavior, and the hidden ways our past experiences shape our present relationships. Through Sarah and Daniel, we begin to see that emotional testing is not about manipulation. It is about survival. It is about the heart's attempt to shield itself from the pain of loss, even as it reaches for connection. But what does this mean for men like Daniel? What does it mean for women like Sarah, who find themselves testing without even realizing it? To answer these questions, we must look deeper into the psychology that drives these patterns. The instincts that guide us, the science that explains us, and the stories that reveal just how fragile and how powerful human connection can be. Sarah and Daniel's story reveals something many of us sense but rarely understand. These small tests are not random. They are deeply wired into human behavior. To see why, we need to look beyond their relationship and ask, why do so many women, across cultures, ages, and even time periods, show this same pattern? Why does the question, "Do you really love me?" echo across history, from love letters centuries ago to text messages today? The first answer lies in evolutionary psychology. For thousands of years, survival depended on choosing a partner who was not only present in the good times, but reliable in the hard times. A man could be charming one day, but would he still protect, provide, and stay committed when life grew difficult? These subtle tests, a delayed reply, a challenging question, a moment of distance, were never designed to be games. They were instinctual filters, ways to measure consistency. And though society has changed, the wiring of the human brain has not. Today, women may not be testing for survival in a dangerous wilderness, but the same instinct whispers, "Is he dependable? Will he stay?" The second reason is emotional security. Imagine walking on a bridge suspended high above the ground. Even if the bridge looks strong, would you feel safe without holding the railings? In relationships, reassurance is the railing. Women test, consciously or not, because they crave stability, not uncertainty. Studies show that emotional security is one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship satisfaction. And subtle tests, whether it's questioning affection or gauging patience, act as checkpoints. If the partner responds with steadiness, the relationship feels safe. If not, the bridge begins to shake. But beneath both instinct and security lies something even more powerful: the subconscious fear of rejection. Sarah, like so many others, carried scars from her past. She wasn't testing Daniel because she didn't love him. She was testing because she was afraid he might not love her enough to stay. This fear runs deep in the human psyche. Research shows that rejection activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain. To avoid this pain, the mind develops defenses: pushing away before being pushed away, questioning before being questioned, doubting before being abandoned. Each test is less about causing conflict and more about avoiding heartbreak. So let's pause here and ask a question. When a woman pulls back, when she asks, "Why do you even like me?" is it really a challenge, or is it a quiet plea for reassurance? When she grows distant, is she losing interest, or is she bracing herself for the possibility of loss? And when she seems to test patience, is she trying to make life harder, or simply trying to protect her heart? The truth is, Sarah's story is not unique. It is human. These patterns are not flaws in character, but survival codes written deep into our psychology. They may look confusing from the outside, but from within, they are attempts at love, safety, and self-preservation. To understand them is not to excuse them, but to finally see the hidden logic behind the behavior that so many couples struggle to explain. Sarah's story isn't just Sarah's story. It's a mirror reflecting what millions of women do every single day, often without even realizing it. And while the roots of these behaviors lie in evolution and emotional survival, modern life has added fuel to the fire. Social media, past traumas, cultural expectations, they've turned ancient instincts into daily patterns. To see this clearly, let's break down the 5 most common emotional tests women unconsciously use in relationships. 1. The silent treatment, or delayed responses. Picture this. Daniel sends a text, something simple, something affectionate. Minutes pass, then hours. No reply. He wonders, did he say something wrong? Is she upset? Or is she testing his patience? In truth, sometimes it's not deliberate, but the silence creates a space. A test. Will he grow anxious and lash out, or will he stay calm, steady, and respectful? In a world where our phones never leave our side, silence speaks louder than words. 2. The loaded question. It sounds innocent. Why do you even like me? But beneath those words lies a storm of insecurity, curiosity, and longing for reassurance. If he answers carelessly, it deepens her doubt. If he answers with honesty and depth, it reinforces her security. Modern triggers, like scrolling through endless feeds of seemingly perfect women online, amplify this question. It isn't just about him, it's about her comparing herself to a world that never stops competing for attention. 3. Creating small conflicts. Sometimes, it's not the big fights that reveal the truth, it's the small ones. Sarah once picked an argument with Daniel about a trivial detail, something that barely mattered. Why? Because deep down, she wanted to see his reaction. Would he dismiss her feelings? Would he fight fire with fire? Or would he listen, stay calm, and prove he could handle tension? These micro-conflicts act like stress tests for the relationship, exposing its hidden strengths or weaknesses. 4. Pulling away when things get serious. This one feels the most confusing. Just when Daniel thought everything was perfect, she grew distant. Just when she seemed most connected, she suddenly needed space. To him, it felt like rejection, but to her, it was instinct. The closer she got, the more vulnerable she felt. Past heartbreaks echoed in her mind. Don't trust too quickly. Don't let your guard down. Don't get hurt again. Pulling away wasn't about pushing him out. It was about making sure he was strong enough to pull her back in. 5. The jealousy trigger. And then comes the most misunderstood test of all. A casual question, a teasing remark, What if another woman liked you? Would you notice her? On the surface, it feels like a trap, but beneath it lies a desperate search for reassurance. In a culture where comparison is endless, where likes, comments, and DMs flood attention every day, jealousy isn't just an emotion, it's a survival mechanism. She wants to know, will his loyalty hold steady even when temptation appears? And here's the truth. This fifth test, the jealousy trigger, can make or break a relationship. Handle it wrong, and trust begins to crumble. Handle it right, and the bond grows stronger than ever. In a moment, we'll reveal why this test is the most powerful of them all, and how it holds the secret to understanding the hidden psychology of women in relationships. At first glance, the jealousy trigger seems simple. A woman asks, "Would you notice another woman?" Or she playfully mentions someone who gave her attention. Many men roll their eyes and think, she just loves drama. But here's the truth. This is one of the biggest myths about female psychology. Women don't test because they want conflict. They test because they crave clarity. The jealousy trigger is rarely about catching a man doing something wrong. It's about watching how he responds under pressure. Does he grow defensive? Does he minimize her feelings? Or does he calmly reassure her of his loyalty? The way he reacts tells her more than his words ever could. Science backs this up. Attachment theory reveals that people with anxious attachment styles, often formed in childhood, are more sensitive to signs of distance or betrayal. For them, even small signals of disloyalty can feel like enormous threats. Add oxytocin, the bonding hormone that floods the brain during intimacy, and you see why emotional security becomes a biological need. Once bonded, women don't just want reassurance, their brains are wired to need it. Think of Sarah again. When she asked Daniel, "What if another woman liked you?" She wasn't plotting a fight. She was asking a question her brain couldn't silence. Am I safe with you? Do I matter enough to you? Will you stay loyal when temptation comes knocking? Her question wasn't about other women. It was about her. And here lies the hidden psychology. Jealousy tests are less about jealousy and more about validation. In fact, studies in emotional psychology show that when partners respond to insecurity with empathy instead of irritation, levels of anxiety decrease dramatically. Simply put, when men reassure instead of react, the test loses its power. The storm calms. So the myth of women love drama? False. The reality is far more human, far more vulnerable. These tests are not games. They are defense mechanisms built from biology, shaped by culture, and reinforced by personal history. And when handled with patience, they can transform from conflict into connection. But here's the twist. If jealousy is misunderstood, so are the other tests. Because each one, the silence, the conflict, the pulling away, hides the same truth. They are not designed to push love away. They are designed to protect it. And in a moment, we'll uncover how men can recognize these tests for what they truly are, and respond in ways that turn potential breakdowns into breakthroughs. For men, these tests can feel like a maze with no exit. One moment, everything seems perfect. The next, silence. Or a question that feels impossible to answer. Many men confess to feeling confused, even trapped. Why does she push me away when all I want to do is love her? And for some, this frustration turns into conflict. The relationship, once filled with promise, begins to crumble under the weight of misunderstanding. But what if the problem isn't the test itself, but the way it's interpreted? What if these moments, instead of being seen as manipulation, are actually silent requests for reassurance? The truth is, women aren't seeking drama. They're seeking proof. Proof of steadiness, loyalty, emotional safety. And once men understand this, the way forward becomes clear. Solution 1. Stay calm. Don't overreact. When Sarah asked Daniel, "Would you notice another woman?" his first instinct was irritation. He wanted to say, "Why are you even asking me this?" But instead, he paused. He stayed calm. And in that pause, something shifted. Because anger would have confirmed her fear, but calmness reassured her. In that moment, silence was louder than shouting. Patience was stronger than defensiveness. Solution 2. Recognize it's about reassurance, not manipulation. This is the turning point. When a man reframes the test, when he stops seeing it as a trap and starts seeing it as a cry for security, everything changes. Sarah wasn't testing Daniel to win an argument. She was testing him because, deep down, she needed to hear, "You matter. I choose you. I'm here." Most men don't realize that acknowledging this need doesn't weaken them. It strengthens the bond. Because reassurance, when it's genuine, builds trust layer by layer. Solution 3. Respond with consistency, empathy, and clear communication. Consistency is the antidote to doubt. Empathy is the answer to fear. And clear communication is the bridge that connects them both. Daniel learned to respond not with sarcasm or defensiveness, but with steady words. "I love you for who you are, and I'm not going anywhere." Over time, Sarah's tests became less frequent, less intense. Because once she felt secure, the need to test began to fade. This is the hidden power of consistency. It transforms tension into trust. So here's the question, men watching this. Have you ever felt tested in this way? And women, do you recognize yourself in Sarah's story? Share your experiences in the comments, because your stories help others see they're not alone. And sometimes, knowing you're not alone is the reassurance we all need most. By now, you can see that emotional testing isn't random. It's a coded language of love and fear. But here's the real challenge, knowing what to do in the moment. So, let's break this down with real examples, showing the wrong way and the right way to respond. Scenario 1. The delayed response. Daniel sends Sarah a heartfelt message. Hours go by without a reply. By evening, his patience runs out. Wrong response. He texts again. "Why are you ignoring me? If you don't care, just say it." His frustration confirms her deepest fear, that he might not be dependable when emotions run high. Right response. Instead, Daniel waits calmly, then replies, "Hope your day's going okay. I'm here when you're ready to talk." This steadiness reassures Sarah. The silence, once threatening, now feels safe. Scenario 2. The loaded question. Sarah asks, "Why do you even like me?" Wrong response. Daniel rolls his eyes. "Why do you always ask that? Don't you trust me?" His tone builds distance. Right response. Daniel pauses, looks at her and says, "Because you make me laugh even on my worst days. Because you see me in ways no one else does. That's why I like you." His words become proof. Her doubt softens. Scenario 3. The jealousy trigger. Sarah teases, "So, would you notice if another woman flirted with you?" Wrong response. Daniel snaps back. "What's with these questions?" You're so insecure, the conversation turns into conflict. Right response. Daniel smiles gently. "Other women aren't who I'm looking at. I've already found what I want. It's simple, it's clear, and it ends the test without fueling the fear." These differences may seem small, but over time, they change everything. Because wrong responses amplify insecurity. Right responses dissolve it. And when insecurity dissolves, love has room to grow. Take the story of Maya and Chris, a couple on the brink of collapse. Maya's constant testing pushed Chris to the edge, until he realized it wasn't manipulation, it was protection. He shifted his approach, calm instead of defensive, steady instead of reactive. Within months, the tone of their relationship changed. Maya tested less, Chris felt less attacked, and together, they built a foundation stronger than before. Not because the test disappeared, but because they finally understood what those tests meant. The empowering truth is this: When both men and women understand why these tests happen, relationships grow stronger instead of breaking apart. Emotional tests stop being battles and start becoming bridges. Because in the end, every test is really the same question: can I trust you with my heart? By now, you understand that emotional testing isn't about drama, it's about security, trust, and love. But here's the real twist. Testing is only half the story. Because when a woman is truly in love, her psychology reveals something completely different. There are signals, subtle, often invisible, that show when her walls are down, when her guard is lowered, and when her love is genuine. Most men never recognize them. They mistake them for chance or overlook them entirely. But when you know what to look for, it changes everything. In my next video, I'll reveal the 3 psychological signals women give when they're truly in love. The hidden signs that go far deeper than words. And once you see them, you'll never miss them again. So the question is this: have you ever noticed those small, almost imperceptible changes in a woman's behavior and wondered what they meant? The answer might surprise you, and it's coming next. So, what have we uncovered? Women don't test men because they want conflict. They test because, deep down, they're searching for safety. Every delayed reply, every loaded question, every moment of distance. It's less about doubt in you and more about the quiet need for reassurance. These tests are not meant to hurt. They are meant to protect. And once you understand that, everything changes. Misunderstandings fade, trust grows, and relationships, instead of breaking under the pressure, become stronger than ever. If this video gave you clarity, let it be the first step. Because the truth is, relationships are not about winning tests. They're about learning the language of love and fear. And when you learn to hear that language, you unlock a new level of connection. So here's what to do next. If you found this valuable, hit the like button. It tells me this content is helping you. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where I'll reveal the 3 psychological signals women give when they're truly in love, and how most men overlook them. And finally, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because one simple perspective shift could save a relationship on the edge. Remember this: women test not to push love away, but to make sure it's real. And when you respond with patience, empathy, and consistency, you don't just pass the test, you build a bond that no test can ever break.